One moment at an airport, one touch changes everything.
I couldn't believe what I was watching at Gate C-27. My 12-year-old son, Ethan, was sitting on the floor playing with his toy plane while we waited for our delayed flight home when this woman, mid-50s, perfect blonde bob, designer carry-on, marched straight up to him, snatched his prosthetic arm right off, and waved it in the air like a trophy. She actually laughed and said, "Look, everyone, I got an upgrade for the armrest war." The entire gate went silent. Ethan's face turned bright red, tears instantly filling his eyes, and my heart stopped dead. I froze for a split second, thinking this had to be some sick nightmare. But no, she was still swinging it around, telling people it was just a prank, while my little boy sat there stunned, one empty sleeve hanging limp. I'm a single mom, and Ethan lost his left arm below the elbow in a car accident 3 years ago. That prosthetic is custom-made, costs more than most cars, and more importantly, it's part of him. He's still getting used to it at school, still sensitive when people stare. We'd spent the whole vacation making sure he felt normal, confident, excited about flying again after the crash, and now this stranger just ripped it away for laughs? My blood started boiling the moment the shock wore off. I stood up, voice shaking with rage, and demanded she give it back immediately. She rolled her eyes, smirked, and said, "Relax, it's detachable, isn't it? Lighten up, snowflake." The crowd was starting to murmur, phones coming out, but she didn't care. She kept parading it like she was the funniest person in the terminal. Ethan whispered, "Mom," in this broken voice that shattered me. I stepped closer, trying to stay calm for him, but inside I was ready to explode. She finally dangled the arm just out of my reach, teasing, "Come on, jump for it." That's when a flight attendant noticed the commotion and started walking over fast. People were gasping. Someone yelled, "That's a child's arm, lady," and she just scoffed, saying kids these days are too soft and we all need thicker skin. I reached for it again, and she yanked it away, almost hitting Ethan in the face with his own limb. The look on his face, humiliation mixed with pure hurt, lit something feral in me. I told her if she didn't hand it over right now, security would make her regret it. She laughed louder, claiming she was teaching him a lesson about leaving things lying around in public. That's when everything escalated even faster. A big guy in a Marine's hoodie stood up, voice like thunder, demanding she return it. More passengers closed in, forming a half circle. The flight attendant was on the phone, calling for gate agents and security. Karen, because that's exactly what she was, started looking nervous for the first time, clutching the prosthetic tighter against her chest like it was her property. She tried to back away, mumbling that everyone was overreacting, that it was just a joke and we couldn't take one. Ethan started crying quietly, hiding his face in his one good hand, and I swear I've never felt so helpless and furious at the same time. The gate agent arrived, took one look at the situation, and ordered her to return the arm immediately. She refused, actually refused, saying she'd give it back when we all calmed down and apologized for threatening her. By now, half the gate was filming, voices rising, telling her she was disgusting. The Marines guy stepped forward again, and she shrieked that he was assaulting her just by standing close. Security was taking forever. Holiday rush, understaffed, whatever. But the crew had formed a line, blocking her from leaving the gate area. She kept trying to deflect, saying Ethan shouldn't wear fake parts if he didn't want attention, that we were raising a generation of victims. Every word out of her mouth made my skin crawl more. I just wanted my son's arm back so I could hold him and get him away from this monster. Then she did something that made my stomach drop. She tried to stuff the prosthetic into her oversized purse like she was keeping it. That's when the head flight attendant physically grabbed her wrist and said, "Ma'am, you're not going anywhere with that." The gate erupted. The head flight attendant, her name tag said Maria, had Karen's wrist in a firm grip now, and you could see the panic flashing across Karen's face for the first time. She tried to jerk away, screaming that Maria was assaulting her, that she'd sue the airline for battery, but Maria didn't budge. "Ma'am, this belongs to the child. Hand it over now." The prosthetic was still half buried in that ridiculous designer purse, the carbon fiber fingers poking out like some horror movie prop. Ethan was shaking beside me, whispering, "I want to go home," over and over, and I pulled him close with one arm while staring daggers at this woman who thought humiliating a disabled kid was comedy gold. Karen switched tactics instantly. Suddenly her voice went all sugary, like she was talking to a toddler. Okay, everyone just calm down. I was only playing. Here, take your little toy back." She yanked the arm out and thrust it toward me, but when I reached for it, she pulled it back again with this smirk. "Say please first." The crowd groaned in unison. Someone behind me muttered, "Unbelievable!" And a teenage girl started live streaming, narrating loudly. "Y'all, this lady just stole a kid's prosthetic arm at the airport and won't give it back." Phones were everywhere now. Dozens pointed straight at her. Karen's eyes darted around, realizing the video evidence was piling up fast. That's when she went full victim mode. She started yelling that we were all bullying her, that she has anxiety, that people like us were the reason the world is so divided. She even pulled the "Do you know who I am" card, claiming her husband is some big-shot lawyer who'd have the entire gate sued by morning. Maria wasn't having it. She signaled to the other crew members, and 2 more flight attendants moved in, forming a human wall so Karen couldn't bolt toward the jet bridge or the exit. Security had been called 5 minutes ago, but with the holiday crowds, they were taking their sweet time. Karen tried to sit down like nothing happened, clutching her purse with the arm still sticking out. Maria reached in and carefully extracted it, finally. The relief hit me so hard my knees almost buckled. I rushed forward, took the prosthetic from Maria's hands, and knelt beside Ethan. His little face was soaked with tears. I gently reattached it while he clung to me, whispering thank you to Maria like she was a superhero. The whole gate clapped softly. Karen rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. Oh, great. Now he's the hero. Whatever happened to personal responsibility? Maybe teach your kid not to leave valuables lying around in an airport. That set the Marines guy off again. He stepped forward and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Ma'am, that's his arm. It's not a phone or a wallet. It's his body." Karen opened her mouth to argue, but for once nothing came out. More passengers were chiming in now. Someone called her disgusting. Another said she should be banned from flying for life. The energy in the gate had completely shifted. What started as awkward silence was now open hostility toward her. She stood up abruptly, grabbed her carry-on, and tried to push past the crew toward the exit. Maria blocked her path. "Ma'am, airport security and police are on their way. You're not leaving until they speak with you." Her face went white, real fear this time. She started bargaining, said she'd apologize if we just let her go, that she didn't mean any harm, that she has grandkids herself and would never hurt a child. But nobody was buying it anymore. Ethan was calmer now that his arm was back, but he wouldn't look at her. I told him we'd get on the plane soon and forget all about the mean lady. Karen overheard and snapped, "Mean? I'm the one being held hostage here." That got laughs, actual laughs from the crowd. Someone yelled, "Hostage lady, you're the one who committed theft." Then we heard the crackle of radios. Airport police were finally jogging down the terminal, 3 officers weaving through the holiday crowds. Karen saw them and completely lost it. She started screaming that she was being targeted because of her appearance, that this was discrimination, that she'd have all our names and ruin us. One officer asked Maria what happened. She gave a calm, professional rundown while pointing at Ethan's arm and then at Karen. The second officer was already asking for IDs from witnesses who saw everything. Karen tried to interrupt, talking over everyone, claiming the arm fell off and she was just picking it up to help. Lies on top of lies. The lead officer turned to her and said, "Ma'am, taking someone else's property, especially a child's medical device without permission, is theft. You're coming with us." That's when she made her biggest mistake yet. She bolted, just dropped her carry-on and tried to sprint toward the main terminal. The third officer caught her in about 5 steps, guiding her arms behind her back while she shrieked about police brutality. The entire gate watched in stunned silence as they cuffed her right there in front of the departure board. Ethan buried his face in my side, but I couldn't look away. This woman who thought she could humiliate my son for sport was finally facing consequences. The officers marched Karen away in cuffs, her screams echoing down the terminal about lawsuits and how she'd own this airline by Christmas. The gate slowly settled. People returned to their seats, but the energy was different now. Strangers kept coming up to Ethan and me, offering kind words, snacks, even a first-class upgrade voucher from one guy who said his wife was a prostitute, and this whole thing made him sick. Ethan managed a small smile when a little girl gave him her stuffed bear for bravery. Maria, the flight attendant, knelt down and told him he handled that better than most adults ever could. For the first time since it started, I felt like we could breathe again. We finally boarded an hour later. I thought that was the end of it, just a horrible story we'd tell someday when the pain faded. But as we taxiled out, Maria slipped into the seat behind us and quietly said, "Ma'am, there's something you need to know before we take off." My stomach dropped all over again. She explained that after the police took Karen away, they ran her ID. Turns out her real name wasn't even Karen, it was Deborah. Same last name as the drunk driver who caused our accident 3 years ago. The one who walked away with barely a scratch, while my son lost his arm and I lost my husband in the wreckage. I sat there frozen, staring at Maria, waiting for her to say it was a coincidence. It wasn't. The police confirmed it when they interviewed her. Deborah had recognized Ethan the moment she saw the prosthetic. She'd followed news about the crash, even attended the sentencing hearing to support the driver, who was her own brother. She told the officers she saw us at the gate and thought it would be funny to mess with the poor little victim family one last time before we all moved on with our lives. Her words, not mine. She wanted to prove we were milking the tragedy, that Ethan didn't really need the arm, that we were just attention seekers. That's why she targeted him specifically. It wasn't random cruelty. It was deliberate, twisted revenge for her brother doing time. I started shaking so hard the seatbelt light hadn't even gone off yet. Ethan was asleep against my shoulder, exhausted from crying, completely unaware. Maria said the police asked if we wanted to press additional charges. Hate crime enhancement was on the table because of the targeted nature. Deborah was already facing theft, disorderly conduct, and child endangerment, but this new information changed everything. I told Maria I needed time to think, to talk to Ethan when he was ready. She squeezed my hand and said the entire crew was behind us, whatever we decided. When we landed, there was an email waiting from the airline's legal team, full refund, lifetime lounge access, and a direct line if we chose to sue Deborah civilly. They'd already terminated her brother's plea deal appeal support quietly. Turns out the airline's parent company had influence. But the real payoff came 2 weeks later. Deborah's mugshot went viral from all those gate videos. Thousands of people shared our story. Donations poured in for Ethan's next prosthetic upgrade, one with cool features he'd always wanted but we couldn't afford. Complete strangers sent letters telling him he's their hero. And Ethan? He doesn't flinch when people glance at his arm anymore. He told his class about the mean lady who learned a big lesson, and now kids line up to high-five his carbon fiber hand because it's the coolest. That day at Gate C-27 broke something in us, but it also healed something bigger. Deborah wanted to humiliate us one last time. Instead, she handed my son the confidence she tried to steal and reminded me that good people still outnumber the cruel ones every single time.
If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Every single subscription motivates me to bring you even more exciting and dramatic HOA stories. And don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. I'll see you in the next story, where justice gets even more satisfying.